Hi everyone, my name's Jason de Wilde and I'm the head of audio here at the Australian Institute of Music, and welcome to another instalment of our micro lectures. Thank you so much for everyone's comments, they've been really good. Now, as per request, I'm going to take you a little bit of a couple of micro lectures on mixing. It's one of the sort of the make and break steps of an audio production, and so what we're going to do is do a couple of things on Pro Tools and how I go about my approach to doing a mix. And it's first going to start with the preparation of getting the mix together. Before you hear any sound whatsoever, it's really important that you prepare your Pro Tools files and your entire session so that it's ready for mixing. Mixing, as you know, is two forms of, two sides of the brain. You've got the right brain, which is the very creative side of working with audio, but you've then got the left brain part of it, which is the logical part of it. So what we're going to try and do is get rid of and do all the technical things out of the way. Get all those things out of the way first, so you can then concentrate on the creative elements afterwards. So let's take a look at the kinds of things that we can prepare for when getting ourselves ready for a mix. Let's take a look. One of the things that I like to do before I even start doing anything with mixing is to just spend a bit of time tidying up your session in any way, shape or form. So, you can see here, for example, that I've got a very, very large session here with lots and lots and lots and lots of different tracks. And so, it really is, if I'm trying to kind of find stuff to, move volumes or do whatever, it's hard because there's such a mess of other tracks here. So let's, we're going to just go through the process of just sort of tidying up your session in readiness for a mix. And this step's super, super important because it really allows then just the creativity to kind of, flow, for want of a better word, but it just, helps you to kind of keep focused on without trying to, wade yourself through mess. So you can see for a start that, I've got some drum tracks here that I'm not actually using at all. So I'm going to, rather than delete those tracks, I tend to kind of like make them inactive as they are here. And then I'm going to just hide them. So here I'm just clicking in the hide into the tracks list. And if you click this little button just to the left here, you'll see that it will hide the track. And you can actually drag those down till you get to the tracks that you want to get rid of. Okay, so I'm left with a drum machine track and some kicks here. Now I've got this bass track here as well that's also not really useful for me. It's been made inactive, so I'm going to hide that one as well. And so that's starting to look okay. Moving down a little bit here, got some more tracks, that one and all those ones right there. They've got to go as well. And the good thing is I select them here in the edit window and they come up straight away here in the tracks list, so I can see straight away which ones I've got to get rid of. Right, I'm going to get rid of that one as well. Those ones. And so, I'm just really, it's about just kind of tidying up things up, ready to do something a bit more creative. Okay, now I've got here a whirly track. Now I've kind of searched through some stuff and I've even got some automation here, but I've kind of figured out that I don't really need this. So at this stage it's active at the moment, so what I want to do is I want to highlight those tracks. I'm not going to use these whirly tracks, so you right click onto it and choose hide and make inactive, and that basically does the inactive, makes them hidden, and they disappear to the Neverland. Now we have some more tracks here, also they're inactive, so I'm going to obviously not need those. Scroll down my list here, and the other thing you can do is if you can hide them from this end, which we've done, but you can also right click and just choose them to hide there as well. That's another way of doing it. I've got also here some, now I'm coming down to some guitars down this area here. This rhythm guitars, don't need those as well. I guess part of the whole mixing process is figuring out what you don't need and don't need, and you know, I've already spent a number of hours, I guess, trying to find all the different parts that I don't need. So I'm now just getting rid of those. So I'm going to choose highs and made inactive, those ones. There's a guitar solo here that we've decided to re-record, and that's been recorded somewhere else, sort of in this area here. So there's another track of guitar solo, that one. And I've decided I'm going to keep this one and get rid of this one. So again, hide and make inactive. The reason I don't actually delete them is because, you know, somewhere along the line, somebody might go, oh, maybe if we use a different guitar solo or we want a sort of different version of it, then I've always kind of got it there. So there's some 12-string acoustic guitar tracks again. I'm going to make them hide and make inactive, those ones, so they disappear. And now it's starting to come out a little bit neater here now. Okay, all these vocal tracks, they're all good. And now the click track. Well, some people decide they might want it. I won't need the click track at this point in time anymore. And there's another inactive track, which I'm going to hide as well. So, okay, so now sort of once you kind of change things, the good thing as well is to, I guess, to always do a save as, so that you can, you know, move on. You've done a significant change. So I'm going to just do change to survive micro lecture. And I'm now going to give it today's date, 110201, being the year, the day, the month, and the date. So I've now sort of tidied up those tracks there. Okay. Next thing to do is to now put them in a sort of some kind of order. And that's really important. And this is great here in the tracks list too. So I'm going to make this tracks list a little bit bigger. So I'm going to start off, generally it's a pop song, so I'm going to start off with the kick drum. I've got a drum machine track here, so I'm actually just going to move that after the drum kit here. So that's all done there. Then I've got, oh, okay, hang on. I've got another room mic, so I'm actually going to move this further. There's some cymbals here as well. And there's the drum submix. So I'm actually moving now my drum machine past the drum submix. So in the end, in my window, I've kind of got all my drum kit all in a row here like this, followed by the drum machine. Next for me, I kind of like to put my bass on as next, so I'm going to do it this way. This is a bass track here, so that's good, and there's another additional bass track in this point here as well. So I've got the bass nice in the right order. Reason. So what's happened here on this particular song is that Reason is actually rewired into this, and if you need to sort of see where how we did that, is you should check out a different micro lecture that I've done on how we actually rewire Reason into Pro Tools. So you can see this particular song has actually got Reason rewired into it. I like to also, in some ways, Reason being a sort of whole separate program, I'm actually going to move that right up to the very top as being the very first thing that kind of drives the thing along. It's just for my own, pleasure in terms of where I'm going to kind of keep stuff. Okay, so I've got drums, Reason, drums, bass, and now I'm going to group things into some keyboards here. So I've got a whole bunch of keyboard sounds. Intro, that's a keyboard. There's a keyboard. There's a keyboard. Then you've got sort of pipe organs and church organs, some harpsichords. So all my keyboards are kind of all nicely in a row here. I've got pianos, some whirlies, and so forth. So all my keyboards are nicely here balanced in a row, keeping it nicely in order. After my keyboards are all my guitars. So here I've all my electric guitars. I've also got then acoustic guitars here as well. And followed by the acoustic guitars as my violins. I've got some percussion here. So I'm actually, since percussion is, more of in sort of the sort of rhythm side of things, I'm actually going to put this percussion somewhere closer to my drum kit. So here's my drum machine. So I might actually just put it straight after the drum machine. Again, so that you always know that, drums sort of at the beginning of the session, followed by bass, followed by keyboards, followed by guitars. And just sort of that you've got your own sort of system. Now, your system might be different to mine. You might put bass first and so forth, but that's up to you. after my violins, I've now got all my vocals. So starting with the lead vocal here, followed by some backing vocals. So straight away, I've got, you know, an idea about where all my stuff is without having to kind of like search for it very much. After my backing vocals, I've then got a couple of effects tracks. So here's my TC. And if there was any other more reverbs or things like that too, here's another vocal reverb, this one, but because it's sort of associated with the lead vocals, I've actually done them quite close to each other. So that's, you know, some people put all their effects tracks at the end. I like to sort of kind of, if I've used it for a vocal only or for a specific instrument, I'll just pop it into where, close to where that instrument is. And the final thing here is the master fader. So again, just putting those tracks in order is going to help you, you know, sort yourself out. And the final thing we're going to do before we sort of start on the real kind of mixing is we're going to create some groups. So, you know, straight away I'm going to have a drum group. So here's my drums, and they go all the way down to here. There's all my drum tracks. So I'm going to create a group out of them. So if I move them, or if I change their faders or levels or things like that, or solo or mute them, they're going to operate as a group. So I've highlight them. Then the shortcut is Command G or Apple G, and I'm going to then call them drums. And I assign it always as the, see, because it's D for drums, I actually assign it to a letter. And I'm going to do the letter D, all right? D for drums. Now, the reason why I do that is for this particular purpose, okay? So now, obviously, if I highlight and mute my drums, okay, they are all in a row. Similarly, if I go to my mix window, then I've got everything kind of in a row sort of here as well. Okay, so they're all operating. Now, I mentioned why I choose the D group. Well, the D group, what happens is that I've got now the drums group here, as you can see. And you'll notice that the focus here is, this button here is highlighted. There's a couple of what they call focus buttons. There's one here, there's one on this right hand side of the screen, and they're sort of found in different spots in Pro Tools. But I usually like to keep my focus here, because now what happens is that if I press the group letter, so I'm pressing the D now, the letter D on my keyboard, you can see that it enables and disables the group. So for me, that's really handy. So if I want to, you know, do something with the group, I've got it enabled. There it is, and I've now can, you know, solo the or mute the drums. But if I then want to sort of do something separate to the group, if I say want to now just, you know, unmute the kick and the kick only, I can just disable the drums by pressing the D button. And then I can just, you know, undo the kick or the snare. And then if I want to re-enable the group again, I go back. So it's really handy. I like kind of doing it that way with the groups. Again, it's just a nice sort of way of keeping things in order and some kind of system to your method. So you can see that preparing the technical elements for a mix is really important to move on to the next stage of actually doing a mix. So in part 2 of this micro lecture series, we're going to look at the rough mix, about just using a mix with level, mute and pan. Till then, keep those comments coming. See you soon.